Okay, Boker Tov, everybody. We're on Pei Hey Yomad Beis. We just started yesterday. Just to get back to where we were holding. The Mishnah spoke about a woman who made Issa for her husband to benefit from her. Thank you. Thank you, Maria. You feel yesterday? How are you feeling?
Yeah. No, good.
Everything's good. Okay. Okay. So Pei Hey. Just to go back a little bit, we did this already, but the Mishnah spoke about if a woman made a neder not to, that her husband should not be able to benefit from her. Whatever her ma'aseh yadayim, her handiwork is going to be also to her husband. So it's not really an Nedarim issue, because of course he could. It's called Bam Shabin Olav. Of course it interferes that he's not going to be able to benefit from her whatever she makes. But Mishnah really is going into a ksubas issue, which we had in ksubas. Whole sukkah is going to be in ksubas more or less, was in ksubas. And the Mishnah talks about does it necessary for him to be mefer? Is it necessary for him? Tanakama says ain't tzach lofer, because anyway says mishubah to him. So the neder that you made can't take effect on the things that he can be able to benefit, because she's obligated. The woman's obligated to cook, to whatever she does for the husband. And ma'aseh yadayim also includes that she makes some extra money. She's supposed to spin a certain amount of thread. So, and so love her, because anyway, she doesn't have a right to do that. Rabbi Kiva said that she could make extra, she might produce more than she's obligated to, and then she's not obligated to the husband, and it could take effect. So therefore, it is worthwhile to be mefer. And Yochanan says that another reason why he should mefer, or maybe he doesn't hold the previous reason, but he might divorce her, and then she's not obligated to him anymore, and then there will take place, and he wouldn't be able to marry her back anymore. So it is kedai to be made for her, because it's also bam shabin olav. In case he divorces her, that it shouldn't be interfering. He should be able to take her back.
We learned this about a week ago.
We learned this yesterday.
Didn't we learn it?
Oh, that you're referring maybe to the Ayin test where it brought down this Gemara.
Yeah, we learned something.
It brought it down.
The same source and the same.
It brought it down for a different purpose over there. So that the person called bam shabin olav. Yeah. Okay, so that was so now we had a steer of in Shmuel, because the Gemara points out there's a double shalom olam over here, which means that the handiwork is not yet existing. Whatever I'm going to make, and yesterday Avinisan said that that in the case where he Shema Yigashena, it surely doesn't exist. You could have learned the Mishnah maybe that the handiwork that she already made, it's already existing. But the case of Shema Yigashena, maybe he's going to divorce her and they won't be able to take her back. That surely is talking about the ma'aseh yadayim that were not yet created. So how could she ask her something that does not exist? That was the most question, and the Gemara thought that is similar to the case of hektish. Can you consecrate something which does not yet exist? So when it comes to in existence, it'll be yasser. So the Gemara sees in our, if Shmuel passes like a Yochanan ben Nuri, in our Mishnah, which seems to say that you can prohibit with a neder, you could make something prohibited with a neder, even if it does not yet exist. Like over here, she's answering her handiwork for when she'll be divorced and she'll make it. And the kasha is that Shmuel said in another case, like halachas like Rabbi Yochanan Asandler, not to get confused between Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri and Rabbi Yochanan Asandler, two different people and two different opposing opinions. Rabbi Yochanan Asandler holds over there that we don't have to go into the details of what we did yesterday already. Rabbi Yochanan Asandler in that Mishnah says that if someone was makdish his wife's handiwork, it's nothing, because he can't ask her, even if it belongs to him. He can't answer it until it comes into existence. And Rabbi Shmuel over there said, so the two psukim of Shmuel contradict each other. He passes like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri in our Mishnah that a person cannot can answer something which is not yet existing. And on the other hand, he passes like Rabbi Yochanan over there that he cannot consecrate something which is not yet existing. So yesterday we had Rav Yosef said that maybe neder is different than hektish. The hektish not, but neder yes. But the Gemara said Abaya knocked that down, and he said that even by neder you have to have some connection to it. Either you're answering yourself or you're answering your belongings on somebody else, but something has to belong to you. And neder shlo b'olam, nothing. You're not connected at all. So the Gemara came out yesterday that the case of the Mishnah is that she said my hands are consecrated to their maker. Lo saying very very just yesterday I didn't realize the words that my hands should be consecrated to their maker. Then who's their maker? Hashem. So that's an interesting way how she expresses herself. She's makdish her hands to Hashem. In other words, that's called davar shabol olam. The kasha was just to sum it up. The kasha was that the handiwork is a davar shabol olam. It's non-existing. How could she consecrate or answer something which just doesn't exist? The answer is she doesn't. The way she did it was by saying, "My hands are consecrated for their work to their maker." That's what lo sayin means, to their maker. So she's consecrating her hands. Her hands are presently existing, so she could consecrate her hands.
And it means that she can't do anything to anybody else, just for Hashem.
No, you're right. The post the Rishonim explained she's not really consecrating her hands. That's the by hektish. She's talking about a maser and konam. I'm making my hands also to my husband. That's like the regular neder. It's like konam yadai. Lo saying that my hands are a konam, which means also to my husband as a korban, whatever's the get to him. So the case was if she asks her hands on her brother and father, so it takes effect, and it's not a davar shelo olam because her hands are right here. And the husband cannot nullify it because it's not relevant to him. It's not inu nefesh and it's not davar sheben olam. But if she answered her hands for to her husband, so then he can make it. But then the question of the Mishnah doesn't have to be made for because anyway she's obligated anyway. And then the Gemara said maybe for the hadafa he should to be made for, or maybe if he's got hadafa means if she makes more than she's obligated to. Whatever she's obligated to her husband, she can't ask it. But if she makes more, she only has to spend 10 sela, whatever, 5 sela of thread, and she's going to make more. The extra that belongs to her, she has jurisdiction to be able to answer it. So then he should be made for because it is Dvarim Shebeino Lebeino, but he's not going to be made for. He's going to be also. And Ben Nuri says that also he should make for because if he divorces her, then it's going to take effect. She's not obligated to him, so therefore he should be made for. And it won't take effect when it will be able to. That was yesterday's Gemara.
The hands to Hashem.
The kasha was that to consecrate, the reason to consecrate, you really mean to make a neder. To make the neder, to aser, to prohibit her handiwork on anybody is a davar shelo olam because she didn't make it yet. It doesn't here. Her handiwork is not here. The spool of thread is not here. So how could she aser it on anybody? It doesn't exist. And just like the makdash davar shelo olam, just like you can't consecrate something that doesn't yet exist, you can't aser with a neder either, something which doesn't yet exist. The answer is she's asering her hands. She's not asering the thread that she's going to make. She's asering her hands for their work, that whatever they're going to produce. If the hands are aser, so then whatever they produce is going to be aser. So that's how she did it. She got around the problem of davar shelo olam by talking about the hands. It's like you could talk about consecrating the apples that are going to grow, or no, I'm consecrating the tree which is going to grow pears. So the tree is right here. So when they grow pears, so it's coming out of hektish. So too, if she consecrates the handiwork, it doesn't exist. Davar shelo olam doesn't nothing took effect. But if she consecrates she asers her hands for their work, so then her hands are presently here, and she has the power to be able to consecrate them or to make them a neder or konam, and then it will take effect. And the Mishnah talks about could he make for it? Does he have to be made for it? Is it any way she's obligated? She's not able to. That's how the Gemara took care of yesterday's problem.
But we have with a neder it seems negative, and with the
First,
yikatshu here is positive. Right?
What is that?
Yikatshu sounds positive.
What's positive mean? There's hektish, because hektish means it's also to everybody. Hektish means it's hektish. There's no difference between hektish. Hektish means it goes to the Beis Hamikdash, and
By saying
means
positive, I make it hektish means
that it goes to the Beis Hamikdash. So what does it mean? It's also for everybody. It goes to the Beis Hamikdash only. No one else is allowed to use it because it's hektish. The Gabbai Stucker comes. The Gabbai hektish. The Gizbor. The treasurer picks up her
work of her hands. No, it's not the work of her hands. It's her hands.
Yes, her hands doesn't mean that her hands go to hektish. It means that they're now going to be consecrated. That whatever they produce is going to be holy.
Okay.
So that's how the Gemara took care of yesterday's problem, and we're up to 4 lines from the bottom. Pei Hey Amud Beis. The Gemara is still asking that it doesn't even work if she's going to consecrate her hands, because her hands are obligated to work for their husband. So what does it help? It means even if she got around the problem of davar shelo olam, she's not talking about the handiwork, she's talking about her hands. But since her hands are obligated to work for the husband, how could she consecrate her hands that they should only be working, so to speak, that whatever she produces is also to the husband?
Yeah.
She's obligated to say. How
Doesn't
could anybody?
change,
How could
the
anybody?
outcome is the same.
Right. So the Tanakama said that in Tzarech Lachar, go back to the Mishnah Amud Aleph. Tanakama said, well, Tanakama didn't maybe mean this, but he said, hey, there's no reason to be made for her. She's obligated to the husband. Good. Means now the question is going to be that the Tanakama is right. first we had thought that the Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri should be wrong, or he has to hold Davar Shalom Olam. But we took care of the problem with Davar Shalom Olam, that she's consecrating the hands. The hands are Bola Olam. But Tanakama says that she's obligated, and therefore no reason to be made. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri said that she might divorce her one day, but the Gemara is not going to be happy with that. Right now, she's not divorced. So right now, her hands are obligated to the husband. So how could she consecrate her hands for their work for when she gets divorced? If right now she is married and her hands are obligated to her husband, so how could she consecrate them? How could she consecrate her hands for when she's going to get divorced? If right now she's married and she is obligated. This sugi we had in Ksubas already, so it might sound familiar. The Gemara starts. The whole sugi is really a copy and paste from Ksubas. So this coming sugi, I made pink and the question and answer because it looks a little confusing. What's the question? What's an answer? So I think it'll help out to have the color scheme. The kasha is if she said that my hand should be holy to their maker, it does work. Her hands are obligated to her husband. The answer is that she says, she doesn't just say, I'm consecrating my hands. I'm consecrating my hands for when I get divorced. So right now, she's consecrating her hands for when they get divorced. So we're happy or a bit. Chaim Dav's not happy. What?
And if they don't get divorced.
So then they're not consecrated.
Then the kid doesn't kick in.
Nothing kicking. But she says, I'm consecrating them for when they get divorced. And then one thinks that it's better. That would have been better, because even though right now she's obligated to her husband, but she could consecrate it for when she gets divorced. But the Gemara still asks.
And what would that mean for the Baal?
That right
Once
now,
he's divorced, then
he
he
won't-
won't be able to get any benefit from her.
right, they won't be able to marry her back. So Rabbi
He won't be
Yochanan
able to
says,
marry her back.
so Rabbi Yochanan says, be made for, just in case you divorce her and you're going to want to marry her back. So clear the way and say, Wufalach.
Oh,
It's
so it
because
seems to work right now.
Rabbi Yochanan says that it works. That's what the Gemara is concentrating on. That Rabbi Yochanan said it should be made for, because if not, then even though right now it's not relevant, but it's going to be relevant if she gets divorced, that you won't be able to take her back. So be made for. They should be able to take her back. But the Gemara says, so again, what are we talking about? Is it possible to consecrate? I say consecrate. I don't mean hektish. I mean neder. Could she make a konam? Could she make her hands also to her husband now for when she gets divorced? But the Gemara said that she said, I'm assuming it now for when I get divorced. But the kasha is Hashem Yislo Magasha. We might the Chiyam Rachi Mahanya. Right now, the whole thing is a kasha. That make the whole thing in pink. Hashem Yislo Magasha. We might the Chiyam Rachi Mahanya. Why does it help to say for when I get divorced? Right now, she's not divorced.
I mean, if it doesn't work now.
It doesn't work. How can you do it now for later? The Gemara is questioning that it shouldn't even work if you say when I'm for later. Top of the Pevav. Amar Ila.
Achi Mahanya means.
Does it help?
How does it work?
Does it work? Amar Ila. Yes, it does work. And it brings a case of a sale transaction of something which doesn't yet exist. And we're going to talk about all kinds of similar cases that are going to be touching on our case. What if somebody says, "Oh, right now I own a field. I'm not being makdish it now. I own a field and I'm selling it to you, and I have in mind I'm going to buy it back from you one day. And right now I'm saying the field that I'm going to sell you and buy back should be kadosh, should be consecrated. He wants
When I buy it back.
for when I buy it back.
What is for when I buy it?
I'm consecrating it now. I'm not going to consecrate it then. I'm consecrating it now. It should, the hektish should take effect. I'm not makdish it now. If I'm makdish it now, I can't sell it to you. I plan on selling it to you, and I plan on buying it back from you. And when I buy it back from you, it should be kodesh. Not that I'm not just telling you news that I'm going to makdish it then.
So
I'm
it should be
makdish it
after
now.
I buy it back, it'll become kodesh.
Right.
At the point that I buy it back.
What?
The moment that I buy
Buy
it
it back,
back,
it should be
will
kodesh. Right. Does it work? Does that work?
Why not?
Because
Because it doesn't exist.
Not really.
Doesn't exist.
is it called,
Non-existent.
so it didn't. All this didn't happen yet.
Right.
And the Gemara says it is good. So the Gemara thinks right here also by the woman that she's right now married and she's makdish her hands, but when she gets divorced, it also should work. Does everybody agree to the comparison? Is it a good comparison? Rabila said that she could do it. The Gemara said, how could she do it for now when she's divorced? The Gemara said, yeah, why not? Rabila, if somebody says to his fellow man,
Mhm.
this field that I'm selling to you, when I buy it back, it should be holy. Does it not work? It works. So if you could do that,
Sorry, go ahead.
you know, so it's the same way over there, you could do it. So here also the woman could say, I'm makdish my hands right now. I'm married. I'm makdish my hands, and it's only relevant for when I get divorced.
Now, aren't we comparing the field to the husband? Do I have that right? The field right now isn't going to be hektish.
It's not now.
Why not? I'm not thinking it through, but why not think that the field is her hands? She's being makdish her hands. She's answering her hands, like the person is being makdish the field. The field is parallel to the hands.
The field
So
equals
she's
the
being
hands.
makdish her hands. Could she makdish her hands? She's obligated to the husband. Could he be makdish to Sada? It doesn't belong to him yet till he buys it back. So really, I'm saying something that doesn't make sense, but nobody's catching me.
It does
Is it the
not-
same case? Is it parallel? The woman is married and she's saying, I'm makdish my hands for when I get divorced. The Gemara says that works, right? Now she's married. So the Gemara says, what's the problem? If I makdish a field now for when I sell it and buy it back, doesn't it work? It works. See, here also it works.
Yeah, but when I'm buying back the field, it's a reality that I plan to do. It's an
If
easy
it-
thing
if
to
it-
do.
if it-
But
if it
the
happens.
divorce is
If it
a
happens.
whole balagan.
It's not, okay,
it's
let's
a
think
whole,
about this. The,
we'll, when I divorce, what are you talking about? Are you married, you're not married, what kind of
This
relationship?
guy also, he's going to sell it and buy it back. Like, what's he doing? You don't want to sell it, sell it. He's going to sell it and buy it back. But let's leave alone that point. Any other points of why they're not parallel?
when he buys, he has the choice to buy it back. And he has the choice to buy it back.
If the guy wants to sell it, then
If the guy wants to sell it.
he doesn't have to sell it. Then.
Right, there is no obligation.
But it only kicks in when he buys it back.
Yes, here also it's going to kick in
But
when
when
she gets divorced.
divorces him.
When she gets divorced, it'll kick in.
oh,
No,
when
by
she
the
gets
way, he's the
divorced,
one who-
It'll kick in.
Now, the question was, could she answer her hands now for when she gets divorced? And then Mara says, yeah, the same way you could be makdish a field for when you sell it and buy it back.
But he's the one who divorces, not she divorces.
She said, when I get divorced.
It's his choice.
Okay, the Gemara says something else. I'm surprised that nobody,
Nobody caught
I
it.
just say I've lived in this mind the whole time. But
No, I think.
No, come on.
here, right now, when he's being makdish the field, he owns it right now. What's the case? I'm makdish the field now, for when I sell it and buy it back, it should be a kodesh. But right now, he
Oh,
owns
she
it.
doesn't own her hand.
Right
She
now,
doesn't
right
own-
now, she's married. If she would say, I'm makdish my hands before she gets married, the similar case would be before she gets married, she says, I'm makdish my hands for when I get married and get divorced.
I see.
But here she's married. It's like
She's married, so she doesn't.
So it's like the case that it's not the case where I own the field and I'm gonna sell it and buy it back.
Nice, nice.
What's the comparison? This case we just mentioned right now that he's being makdish the field is because he still owns it. So he makes this declaration before he sells it. If right now it
He
belongs
has
to
a
me,
right-
I'm
he
gonna
has a
sell.
right to it.
So right now I could be makdish it. So I'm not being makdish it right now. I want it to take effect for when I sell it and buy it back. But right now I'm a somebody. I have jurisdiction on this field. But Isha, Yadeh, Makdish, Ma'asi Yadeh, the woman, could she be makdish right now? She can't makdish right now. So if she can't be makdish right now, who says she can be makdish when she's going to get divorced? Right now, she doesn't have jurisdiction.
She
So
doesn't
it's not
own,
compar-
she doesn't own her own.
She has.
She doesn't
there
know
are-
Ma'asi Yadeh. But she be makdish.
They want me to be like land in Mishubad or something.
It's land that doesn't belong to him. It's like the Gemara looks at, this is the case. If you want to talk about a case in a
Land that
field,
doesn't belong.
This will be similar to the woman, the case of our Mishnah will be similar to a man who already sold his field, like she already got married. She's already married. Right now, the field doesn't belong to him. I sold the field to you, and now I'm saying when I'm going to buy, I'm makdish for why I buy it back. Right now, I don't own it. I plan on buying it, but I sold it already.
Oh,
So-
what power does he have to makdish it right now?
Right, you
It's
don't
not
own it.
his.
So too, we're back to square one, that the woman, right now, she's married, she doesn't have jurisdiction over her hands. So who says she can be makdish for when she's gonna get divorced? It's like the man who's being makdish field before he buys it.
And Mikachas then is like the button on the.
Doesn't work, Mikachah doesn't work, it does not work. So back to the kasha, who says that she can makdish her hands for when she gets divorced? Masif lo papa midami. No, there's no problem, it's not, your kasha is not a kasha.
A
Gabi-
maskif on the maskif?
Yes, he's coming for the green. Rabbi Papa is going to try to say
To
an
make it
answer.
work. A different answer.
No, means we're trying to say this kind of answer, right? He knocked it off, and he's going to bring it back. He's going to revive it. But a
So
little,
it's like a maskif
amending.
on the maskif.
Yes, right. Myself, Papa. Who's the one who asked the kasha, by the way? Rabbi
Maskif,
Yirmiyah.
Rabbi
Rabbi Yirmiyah asked the
Yirmiyah.
kasha. So Papa's asking Rabbi Yirmiyah. Your comparison is not a comparison. Gabi's being a psika milsayu. Gabi isha mi psika milsa. Halodami elalom lechavero sadazu shemeshkanti lecha lekishav denim imcha takdish. Mi lo kacha means when the person sells a field, he doesn't own it at all. When he sold the
sells
field,
it, he doesn't know.
he's out. But a woman, when she gets married and her hands are obligated to her husband, it doesn't mean that she doesn't have her hands. Her hands are still hands still belong to her. She has an obligation, which the Gemara is comparing not to selling a field, but to being mashke in the field, to make a shibud on the field. Will be the mashke a collateral. And here the case would be, for instance, that he took a loan, and now I'm making this field to be a collateral, it's meshubad, and maybe even that the lender is allowed to eat from the field to get back his loan. So I have like this, it's meshubad to somebody, but it still belongs to me. Means don't talk about the hands of the married woman as if a field that he sold already. She didn't sell her hands. Her hands are hers, but she's obligated. She has an obligation to the husband. Well, now tell me a case of a field with being makdashit, not in a case where it doesn't belong to him. It belongs to him, but it has a lien on it. That's the word, a lien. It has a lien on it. Could a person be makdash a field that he owns, but has a lien on it?
Oh, it's not really his. It has a lien on it. It's not really his.
No, it is.
No,
it really
the
is. You
owner,
could
the
even
owner.
sell
Could
it.
not the one who has the lien. Could the owner be makdash it? Could the owner be makdash a field that has a lien on it for when the lien is over?
Oh, for when the lien is over, okay.
So the zoo. The word psika milsa, gabazvina psika milsa, means that once you sell it, so then you're disconnected.
It's not absolute.
It's
Yes.
absolute. But Gabisha mi psika milsa, when she gets married, is she disconnected from her hands? I'm not sure if that's the word psika. Not that I sold you, that I was memashkin, that I made a lien to you. It's my field that I made to you a lien. It should become consecrated for when I redeem it from you. There's a field that I own that someone has a lien on it, and I'm saying that I'm consecrating it for when I redeem it.
Like, let's say it's a loan. He
And the
borrowed
loan
money.
had, right,
He
and
borrowed money,
right,
and now I'm
The field is
gonna make a.
there's a
I'm
field
gonna
which
mortgage
is
this field,
not now,
but when I pay off the loan,
right,
because then it'll be off.
right. So does it work?
Yeah, why
Because
not?
yeah,
Why not?
kosher doesn't it work? So too, the woman who owns her hands, but there's a lien on them because they're mashubah to the husband. The husband has rights to her handiwork. So can she not be makdash now for when the lien is going to be off? So it should work. But if she should read the avidi, even though it's a maskif, this is a little tricky over here. That it's another green. It's not a red. It's not a kasha
It's not a
on the
real-
what thing we just said. It's going to be a kasha, but it's going to say that your example is not exactly meduyak. You should have been more accurate in the way you expressed yourself.
a maskif on the maskif on the.
Yeah, but
maskif.
it's a maskif
just
we
a
just said, but it's saying that this is not
Correction, like a
right.
tikkun.
Right, it's not right. It's not, but it's going in the same direction. Masaf of Shisha Beidu Avidi Midami, Sada Biyada Levdoso, Isha Biyada Lizgarish, Aladamya Ela Omer Lachavero, Sada Zusha Meshkanti Lachala Ese Shonim, Lekishev Dena.
Like it never
Mimcha
left, the
Takdish.
field never left him.
The case
When
that
it-
the
when it
case
had
that
a
I spoke about,
mishkanta,
yes,
so it's
whenever,
his field and he could even sell it if he wants. It has a coal out there that it's mishubad,
yes,
but he could sell it if he wanted to, right?
okay, the Gemara doesn't use, the Gemara doesn't say that, the Gemara.
So when he redeems it, it never really left his hand. It was always his.
So the way the Gemara expresses it, as they always have the right to redeem it. At any time, you can go to the bank, to the lender, and say, "I'm paying it off. I'm paying off, and I want my field back." That's the way the Gemara expresses that. It's that I
Yeah.
can take off the lien at any time,
You can take off the lien
At
anytime
any time.
that he's able. or
whenever I want
wants
to. I can take off the lien. If I come with the money, I can take off the lien. You have a lien on me because I owe you money. At any time, I have the privilege of coming with the money and taking the lien off. So therefore, I have a handle on the field is mine. And besides being mine, you were saying that it's mine, and even though there's a lien on it, but The Gemara is saying that I can take the lien off at any time,
Okay.
but the
I see.
woman cannot take off the lien at any time. What will be a case of somebody who has a lien that cannot be removed for 10 years? That's the Gemara's example. Is a 10-year lien and you have no right to come in between and to redeem it. Could you be makdash it then? He has a lien that he cannot dissolve for another 10 years. And he's makdash it now for after the 10 years. That's more similar to the woman. That for this time, she has no way of taking off the lien. So how
Well,
about
how
such a
does that
case?
work?
Which
I
case?
mean, it's an agreement, this last one that you gave,
With
with the 10 years,
yeah.
how do you do
A
that?
person wants to get, he said, I'm not agreeing to take this lien only if I could use it for 10 years. The case sometimes even you use the field that,
Uh-huh.
that
And let's say in the case of lending money, does that work?
yeah, you could
I'm
lend
gonna
money
lend you $100,000, but
and take,
you can't pay me back before 10 years.
you
don't have a
can't
right to
pay
pay me
me.
I want to be
Right.
able to use this
Right,
land or
right.
whatever.
And he's using it. He's not just holding on to it for collateral, he's actually using it. So here's the $100,000 and I'm gonna eat the rent, or let's say nowadays, whatever, in a building. So I get the rent of this building for 10 years. I want the rent of the building for 10. I don't want to get the money. Don't pay me back.
Right, I'm gonna put offices in and
Whatever, yeah. It's not worth for me to work with it. I'm only gonna have 10 years.
work with,
So
and that would be
so,
similar to. a
right,
woman.
and over there it does work. The more not saying, the more doesn't mean to ask, it doesn't work. The more
does
don't
work.
saying it does work, but you want to make a comparison. This is the way to make the comparison. Don't talk about just a lien.
Uh-huh.
Talk about a lien that's what's the word to say?
Fixed.
A fix that you cannot dissolve it before the time. So that's what you should have said. Me dummy said to be other leftosa. Each of the other is garish. Give me a case where she doesn't have the ability to get out of the lien. So the zoo shemishkanti lahala esa shanim l'kshef danim chatakdish. Also, mila kacha. It's right. You're right. It works, and the answer is fine. That the woman also, even though she can't get out of the lien, but you're able to talk about it after the lien goes off the same way. Somebody who has a permanent 10 years, there's no a fixed 10 years. There's no way to get out of it. He could be makdash for when he can makdash it now for when he's gonna redeem it. So too, the woman should be able to be makdash her hands for when she gets divorced. But now Rav Ashi comes with a kasha that there was no answer. Masafla Rav Ashi mi dami hasam kids isha mi isla kitzusa. This mashkanta, even if it's for 10 years fixed, but the 10 years comes to an end. But the marriage, that doesn't come to an end. Only if the husband is going to end it. Then she doesn't. It's not.
It's 10
Right.
years.
It's 10
The
years.
kayaks is the 10 years and she
Right.
doesn't have,
And by her, there's no
hers is
end. Means,
open-ended.
and only it's up to the husband to divorce her. She doesn't have the option of divorcing. It's his option. So how? So now the kasha is now the kasha is strong. How? Maybe Chaim David mentioned this before. I'm not sure. That who says that a woman can makdash her hands for when she gets divorced? She doesn't have the option of getting divorced. Only if the husband wants to.
Even if she makes his life miserable.
It depends
That's
how
all
much
passive, it's still not her.
It depends what his tolerance level is.
This is-
They call that
Pain
sibolet in Hebrew. How much she can be so. So, but she can't force together unless he does something, But so that's the kasha. So now the Gemara is all. This is a serious kasha, really. Means all these things didn't work. Means the Gemara trying to say it's like being makdash a field when you don't have full jurisdiction. But all these cases, it is a lien that you can get out of. But the shibud of the wife, she can't get out of it. So the Gemara holds it to be a kasha. Means I'm coming back to the first kasha. That where does it go over here? That her hands are obligated to the husband, and even if she says for when I get divorced, but right now she's not divorced, and even though you find cases that she has that a person could do something for after the lien is over, but this lien she can't take it off ever. So who says that she has the right to the ability to answer her hands for when she gets divorced? So back to square one. We tried, didn't work. So we turn the page now. Page Vav Amud Beis. Elam Rav Ashi. Shani konamos dechi kedushas haguf dami. Uchedirava damarava hektish chometz v'shichra mafkin v'dei shivim. If somebody had a field that had a lien on it, if someone had a field that had a lien on it,
Shani kon nomos.
I'll read the word soon. But just to get the Rabbi's halacha, hektish mafkim v'deshiva. I'm just going to explain the green words over
So
here.
what's the word kitzut? I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
End. It has an end. Comes to an end. Kates. Kates. Hektish is mafkim v'deshiva. If somebody had a field, someone had a field, owned the field, and had a lien on it.
What mafkin is,
Takes off the shibud. So if someone had a field and they had a lien on it, someone had a lien on it, and he says this field is hektish. Oh, better. No, I have to say better. Someone had an animal. So kedushas aguf.
okay,
Someone had an animal, and there was a shibud on the animal, and then he was makdish the animal. He said the animal is a korban the owner. So the one who had the shibud said, "I have a shibud on it. What's going to happen to my shibud? I have a lien on this animal." Someone took a loan, and he had a lien on the animal that if you don't pay back,
and then
I'm going to collect the animal. Makdish the animal, and the gizbar comes from hektish and takes the animal. So then the creditor comes and says, "What are you doing?" He says, "He was makdish it. I have a shibud on it. Hektish mafkia midei shibud. If you makdish something, it takes off the shibud. So too, even though the woman is obligated to her husband, when she consecrates her hands or makes them also like hektish, it takes off the shibud of the husband. And even though she's obligated to the husband, but the hektish overrides that. So the kasha was that her hands are obligated to her husband. They were, but now that she said that it's a konam, the konam overrides the shibud.
but and we're still talking about in the future. After she
Oh, that's the
divorces
kasha. You're
him?
asking kasha. You're being very polite, but you're asking kasha because the Mishnah
Because
says.
then she wouldn't need a divorce. She could just say, "I'm musser." How does it work? then?
Why does the Mishnah say? Why does the Yochanan ben Nuri say that it's relevant because he might divorce her?
Right now, it's
right now.
gonna be relevant.
Iyachi,
Uh-huh.
lama
Right now
li
it's
shema
relevant.
yigashena. Why does the Mishnah say lama shema yigashena? Even not shema yigashena, he's saying a whole new thing that it is real, that it does take effect right now. Just to go back before we go to the answer, the city words inside. Elam Ravashi Shani Konamos the Kedushas Aguf Dami. Konam is different because it's like Kedushas Aguf. Kedushas Aguf is in contrast to Kedushas Dami. There's a kind of consecration that is only consecrated for its value, like the case of a field. It's only when you consecrate a field, it's only for its value. The earth is not inherently holy. But there's a Kedushas Aguf like an animal. They make to be a korban. The animal becomes inherently holy. That's called Kedushas Aguf. Kedushas Aguf does override the shibud, as Rava says. Dama Rava hektish chametz v'shichva mafkim b'dei shiva. So we just did hektish, which is what we're talking about. That hektish outdoes. Mafkia is a good word for mafkia. It means to take off, but it's take out, but it's not from nothing. Bust. Okay, explodes like that kind of thing. It bursts the shiva.
Destroys.
But it's not destroying. It's something. It's
Taking out.
Another word. It undoes.
Releases.
It undoes.
Releases.
Releases. Undoes. Something about undoing. Okay. So hektish has ability. Maybe our scroll has something. Okay, we'll see if there's a nice word. But thank you. But that's
then why would
the
anybody,
essence.
if that's true? Oh, and there's no, we don't make shibudim on metallic.
You could. It's not as safe because he might
It's not
run away with
he
it.
could makdish it.
Because he, yes, that's true.
No, if he sells it, it's not a problem. You could. Oh, if he sells it, it's
Obviously-
also a problem.
No,
If he has a shtar,
obviously right. But the hektish, okay, I don't know all the details. Okay, I don't know.
but this seems to be like, anybody, if you didn't want to pay it back.
Why should he just stamp to the guy who did you a favor? He lent you money. He said stamp did he be a tzaddik and he marked the shit and now you owe him money? You do owe money. You owe him money still, but he had a shibud. He's taking away a shibud. So I don't know.
Oh, you still owe him the money.
Yeah, for sure you owe him the money. Okay,
The
anyway,
article says release.
release. Okay, I don't think that's accurate, but
the translation.
okay.
Yeah.
I like Lev Yaakov's better.
What was that?
What would you say
I
again?
don't know. I said about fair things.
We could hear the recording.
Okay, well, you said something
Okay.
very smart. Okay.
Okay, also
Release.
release.
Okay, we did have
It's not,
that.
it's not a translation.
Mate mafkia.
It's not a translation. What is it?
No, it's like sometimes it's a loose translation. That's not the exact translation. When you have a rope and you unravel,
Oh, I'm
like you take apart, that's called tamim mafkia. So do you have another? So like you're taking it like yeah. So that's right. Yeah, you could untie it. You can mafkia means you undo the rope.
We disconnect.
Okay, we'll try. But that's the idea. Everyone got the idea.
Dissolves.
Ah.
Like that.
Chametz. The case of chametz would be that let's say what the Mepharshim say over here that Jew owned chametz. and the goy, it was a goy had a lien on the chametz, and it means if you don't pay back the loan, so then the goy says the chametz is going to be mine,
Yeah.
and the Jew didn't pay back the loan, so the chametz should be his. And the question is, if it's also after Pesach or not, something to that effect. And the chametz, this chametz does take off the shibud of the goy. What's the case chametz? Here's the case of chametz. So I don't know it well. It's here on the fifth 1, 2, 3, 4 here chametz. Yisrael shasachem sol goy apotiki. A Jew made his chametz to be a collateral for the goy. Shim lo yifto sol b'zman yadu achar Pesach shehei shel goy. That if he doesn't pay by a certain time, it should belong to the Jew, to the goy. V'avazman v'lo podo, and the time passed. He didn't pay back.
So that means,
Also-
does it automatically become his at that point?
So it should be the goy's, and then it should be mutter.
Yeah.
Also, bana ki b'shus Yisrael haya azman apdiya. It's also to benefit because it was in the jurisdiction of the Jew until it was redeemed. The Isaf Chametz ifkiya shibud hagoy, and the Isaf Chametz takes off, releases the shibud of the goy.
We're assuming that Pesach went through this?
Yeah, right.
Pesach went through it, and once
Right.
Pesach came, all bets were off.
So the chametz is usher, and doesn't make a difference that the guy has a shibud on it. I don't know that Allah well. The shichur was also such a case that someone had a slave that was made to be a lien. There was a lien that was made to be the lien for the loan, and
Shimon was a slave.
shichur is freedom, the liberty
Of a slave,
slave.
isn't it?
So there was a slave that was made to be a
Free.
collateral.
Oh, that was collateral, and then he was
And then
free.
the owner of the slave, instead of letting him be paid as the collateral, that the slave should belong to the creditor, he freed the slave. Not that he's makdash, he freed him. He gave him a shtar shikra and said, "I raise tamashukra." He released him from his slavery. So the collateral, his being a collateral, is the zal, is mafkia. But we
it's
want
only-
because he's not a slave anymore.
Because not a slave anymore.
What we want is the case of hektish, and we're saying that the woman is like hektish. No, that the woman is consecrating her hands. The konam is like hektish. She's consecrating her hands, and they become usher to the husband. And even the means even while they're still married. What was the whole kasha? That while you're married, the hands are obligated. The answer is no, because even though I'm married and my hands are obligated to my husband, but the konam that I made is going to undo the shibud.
Very good.
So then Leib Yaakov asks, "Zihachi lama li shama yigashena?" So what does it say in the Mishnah? The problem is maybe he's going to divorce her. Even if he doesn't divorce her, right now she's asked to do things for him because the hektish that she made on her hands outdoes the shibud to the husband.
Mhm.
So then in our Gemara it says something,
No, but now they're
and we're not
married.
going to read it.
But now they're married.
But the hektish outdoes the shibud. It doesn't undo the marriage. It undoes the shibud to the husband. That her hands are obligated to the husband, but the hektish that she made on her hands outdoes that. She's not mishubah. Her hands are not mishubah to the husband. The husband says, "The hands are mishubah to me." She says, "But they're hektish. They're konam." So the same way that the person comes,
Her
shibud, her konam that she made on her hands outdoes the shibud of the husband, and therefore.
This we've seen a few cases. I think that even the rices are abstained from the power of a konam or a neder.
I'm not sure what you mean to say.
Didn't we see that yesterday and the day before that the konam can take away even the derisa?
I'm not sure what the words mean.
Well, here she's obligated to her husband, but she made a konam.
So it
So
outdoes.
what?
that.
Now you're not obligated to your husband.
That's-
Yes, you're not.
That's what it
because
says.
of the
Right.
konam.
But I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're
She's got
referring
an
to.
obligation. It's derisa. She's.
I'm not sure. Yeah, but I'm not sure what you're referring to. Another case that we have. But that's what it says. That's what it says over here. But the kasha doesn't fit into the Mishnah at all. It says Shema Yigar Shena. And according to what the Gemara is saying now, it has nothing to do when he divorces her, even right now. So we have to learn a different gear. Here it says this gersa. We're not learning this gersa. We're going to the Bach and everybody else. It brings down the Gemara in Ksubis that says differently. It says the answer is that even though
What's on? I'm sorry.
Amur means to make strong, like alimut means to, and nowadays it means strength. So the Rabbanan strengthened the shibud of the husband that it should not become consecrated now. The answer is that
It's an exception to the rule.
if it's that Rabbanan didn't want that the woman should be able to get out of her obligation to her husband by making an issur on her hands. So they said, doesn't work, whatever, however they do that, whatever mechanics they have to do that. And they said that the shibud of the husband is strong over here, and even though she made it hektish, it doesn't work. But really, it does work. Really, she undid the shibud, but the Rabbanan put on the shibud. How does it work? I don't know, but it comes out a very interesting result over here. That right now she has to work, the work goes to the husband. But if she gets divorced, then the neder does kick in, and even though it can't kick in now, if it didn't kick in before, it did kick in before, even though the whole time she's been working and it goes to the husband. So it's very interesting how this thing is working. On one hand, we say that the neder does not take effect, and she does that, and the work does go to the husband. But later on, when she gets divorced, and we want to know, and if it was already the whole time, it took already effect. We say it did take effect, even though the whole time, not retroactive.
Oh, it was
The whole
always,
time it was there, even though the whole time she's working and the husband's eating it. So that's the question how it works, and that the Rishonim are going to explain the lumdus how it could work. But that's the Gemara's answer. So the whole sugya, which was about two small daf, but went on a side point of the Mishnah. The Mishnah's issue was the Mishnah's whole Nidon doesn't really affect here because surely it's Dvar Misha Ben Olavena. If the wife made a neder not to ask her to work on her husband, surely he has the right to be mefer. It's Dvar Misha Ben Olavena. The question is, does he have to? Is it unnecessary? Because anyway, it doesn't take effect, which is really a ksubas issue that she's obligated to the husband. So the Gemara first talked about Dav Shalom Olam, and the Gemara and the handiwork is not here at all. That the Gemara answered her hands. Her hands are here, but the Gemara said even the hands being here, but the hands are obligated. And it took a long time for the Gemara to get to this answer. The Gemara tried other answers that she could be makdashi, even though she obligated for when she's not obligated, but all that didn't work. And the Gemara came out on top of the page that here that she made it a konam, it overrides the shibud to the husband. But now we're not going to say that it overrides, and right now her work is also while they're married. No. But when she does get divorced, then it's not going to be called that the hands never were able to be consecrated. They were consecrated because really, inherently, they became kodesh right away. But we override that. We were able to override that temporarily somehow, as long as she's married. But once she gets divorced, we take off the cover and we say that really it was there the whole time. And her hands are usher, and she is, the handiwork is usher to the husband from now on, and therefore he should be made for when he still could. So as soon as he hears about it,
that he can do all the time they're married.
yes.
So maybe because he has while they're married, he still has the power to be mefer. Therefore,
The question was,
they don't take away they don't allow the konam.
No.
Bottle,
No.
we don't show it in the reality.
No, if he's not
It
made for,
doesn't
then
take effect.
if he's not made for, then it does take effect. If he's not made for, it
No,
takes
but the
effect.
fact, yeah, but they don't allow
I'm sorry, I mean,
to unwrite, take it out.
If he's not made for, as long as they're married, her work goes to him anyway. That's what it says. The last words, Amur Abana Shivuda Deval, that even though she made a neder, which really does undo the shibud, but we're not going to let that happen, and we say that's the work still goes to the husband. But when she gets divorced, then it'll kick in. And therefore, in order to avoid that if she ever gets divorced, he's able to take her back. We tell him it's smart to be made for now. You have the right to be made for, and it's smart to utilize your right. Okay, next Mishnah. Just the Mishnah. We have left the Mishnah on the page. Just one Mishnah. The Mishnah in short is saying he made a hafara, a mistake. He didn't get the information right. He made a hafara, but it was a mistake in hafara, and many examples. And it's going to say at the end of all that it wasn't a good hafara. You got to do it again.
Because he misunderstood what her neder was.
Or who it was. That's going to be a few examples. Let's see. Nadra Ishto, Vasalash Nadra Bito. His wife made a neder, and he thought that it was his daughter. And he was made for neder to his daughter, and really it was his wife. Nadra Bito, Vasalash Nadra Ishto, the opposite. It really was his daughter. He thought that was his wife. Or Nadra Benazir, Vasalash Nadra Bekorban. Nadra Bekorban, Vasalash Nadra Benazir. She really made a neder to become a Nazira, and he thought that she had made a neder to bring a korban, or the opposite, and he was made for the wrong neder. Or nadra b'teinim, v'savash nadra b'natavim, nadra b'natavim, v'savash nadra b'nateinim. Whatever the case was, she made an issur on one thing, grapes, and really it was figs, and it really was grapes, and he was made for the wrong neder. And then he finds out, is that a hafara? He has to be made for again because the hafara that he did by mistake is not a hafara. The Al-Khara could have said that the Ain's Afara, that it was a mistake, it doesn't work. You have to know what you're doing. If you got the wrong information, so it wasn't a good Afara. If he has to do it again. The Mepharshim say, I don't know if to come to answer the question why the word is, but that when he
Yeah,
finds
so-
out the mistake, even though it's many days later, but this is the day that he heard. Today's Yom Shamo. If he first heard that it was his daughter, and then he finds out, and he was Mefer, then he finds out a month later that really was his wife. So today's the day. All that was nothing. It didn't help what you did. But now that you find out that it was the wife, so now you have to be Mefer. And today you still could be Mefer because now you just heard about it.
Yachzor v'yofer.
Yachzav v'yofer.
So the chiddush is that he's able to be Yachzav Yafa on when he finds out.
Maybe.
And if he
Maybe
does-
that's-
Huge chiddush.
Yeah, but
And if he
why-
doesn't,
is
then
that-
it-
Was
was
the
it
nice
Shama?
of Yom Shama, you heard his wife.
No,
He heard his wife, he just
daughter.
thought it was his daughter.
So he didn't really hear.
I don't know.
He heard.
I'm saying that he heard from the next room and he thought he got mixed up with the voice.
Well, in the
And
same room, they have a similar voice.
Okay,
Okay, whatever, yeah.
they might have told
But
him
all the
that
factors were-
someone
he did-
told him that your wife made a neder, so he says I'm made, and then there's a mistake. The one who told
But
him.
could be even that he heard Paul. He heard his wife and he thought it was his daughter. His wife
Okay.
would sound younger that day. I don't know.
Okay,
So what he heard was
So he didn't
So no, he
hear,
didn't get
he
it,
didn't
yeah.
hear the whole thing, so.
I'm not sure if that's the
Okay.
the main issue that they see in the Mishnah is that it's not a good upfront. And the Rashi over here says that he can still do it because it's Yom Shamo. I'm not sure he's coming to say, I was bothered by the words. Why say I raise Yachzav Yafa? Say it's not a good upfront. So
No,
maybe both of them are included.
That he can do it at that point when he hears.
Is it,
mistake.
maybe that's also a Kiddush, okay?
But also, and if he doesn't do anything
Yeah.
from that day on, it'll be
Right.
good.
Because it was not a good upfront. The mistaken upfront is not a good upfront.
But from that day on, it will be. Not,
The mistaken upfront is not
no,
a
I'm
good
sorry, but
upfront.
from
He
that
has
day
that
on,
today,
if he doesn't do anything about it, then her
So
net
it's-
will be on.
right?
Yeah.
Yeshikoah.
Okay.
Yeshikoah. Thank you, everybody.
Since it came up about divorce, I want to know if the Rav ever heard about this case. In Eretz Yisrael, the way to try to